The upcoming episode of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch, titled Disaster at the Bead Site, promises to bring excitement and tension to viewers. This episode will air on travel and is sure to keep fans on the edge of their seats. In this episode, Dwayne and Charlie face a major challenge as they attempt to drill down a smoke vent at the bead site. However, things take a turn for the worse when disaster strikes. The stakes are high, and the outcome of their efforts could change everything they know about the site. Meanwhile, Chad and Josh are on a different mission. They decide to follow the fault line back to a collapsed mine. This journey could uncover important information that might connect to the mysteries surrounding Blind Frog Ranch. Their exploration adds another layer of intrigue to the episode. Additionally, Eric takes a trip to an indigenous site in Ohio. This location holds significant clues that could shed light on the history and secrets of Blind Frog Ranch. Eric's findings might have a crucial impact on the team's ongoing investigations. With all these developments, Disaster at the Bead Site is set to be a thrilling episode filled with unexpected twists and discoveries. Fans of the show will not want to miss what happens next. The Disaster at the Bead Site episode of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch. The Disaster at the Bead Site episode of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch is all new. There are some places on Earth where the land just seems different, and Blind Frog Ranch in eastern Utah is one of those places. Locals say the land is cursed and holding on to treasures. Landowner Dwayne Ollinger is determined to find what is hidden in the 7 underground caves on the 160-acre ranch. Dwayne has sunk everything he has into hunting for what he believes is a vast fortune of gold on his property. However, as he gets closer to finding the treasure, the land seems to hold on tighter, stopping him in his tracks. A heavy frost clung to the mesa as the crew arrived early in the morning, the low sun casting long, jagged shadows over the Utah desert. Ice glittered like broken glass along the edge of the wash, hinting that winter still clung tightly to Blind Frog Ranch despite the team's restless momentum toward the unknown. The focus of the day's work was the newly uncovered bead site, a narrow rock overhang at the edge of the eastern ravine, where in last week's episode, Dwayne and Chad had unearthed a cluster of turquoise inlaid beads unlike anything they had seen before. The formation was shallow but unnaturally precise, with sediment layers disrupted in geometric patterns, as if someone had carefully buried artifacts there long ago, intending for them to be found. As the team gathered gear and prepared to expand the excavation, Charlie, the team's geologist, reviewed seismic data that had come in overnight. A faint anomaly just meters below the bead site caught his attention, a void, irregular in shape, but resonant enough to indicate either a natural cavern or a collapsed chamber. Excitement rippled through the crew as they speculated what might lie beneath. A collapsed mine, an ancient burial crypt, or possibly another link to the Aztec theories that had driven much of the season's focus. Cameras captured the moment the team began clearing the rubble, revealing a tightly packed layer of charred wood mixed with ash, remnants of a long-ago fire, unnatural in placement, and strangely preserved. The carbon-rich soil seemed to muffle sound, absorbing footsteps and voices, adding to the oppressive stillness of the site. Jamie, the lead archaeologist, carefully sifted through the debris. Her brush paused when she uncovered what appeared to be a carved bone, perhaps a tool handle, perhaps ceremonial. It was marked with faint symbols, resembling those seen etched into stone tablets recovered earlier in the season near the submerged cavern. Symbols no one had yet deciphered. Symbols that seemed to repeat across every major discovery on the property. As noon passed, the wind picked up. Clouds thickened on the horizon, rolling over the peaks like a slow, gray tide. Still, the team pressed forward. At a depth of 5 feet, a sharp clunk echoed from the pit. Beneath a layer of brittle sandstone, Chad uncovered a rusted metal edge, squared, riveted, industrial. The team gathered to investigate. It was a box, partially buried, welded shut, and shockingly modern compared to the beads and bone tools surrounding it. It didn't make sense. Charlie scanned it with a portable XRF device. The alloy was consistent with early 20th century construction, possibly military. Jamie noted the soil layers above showed no signs of recent disturbance. The box had been buried at least 70 years ago, intentionally sealed and hidden in a context filled with artifacts potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of years old. Tension grew thick among the team. Cameras panned across their faces as questions hung in the dry desert air. A plant, or something deliberately concealed long ago, meant to be protected by legend and terrain? Before any answers could be found, disaster struck. As Chad began clearing the last bit of rock around the box's edge, the soil beneath him gave way. A muffled crack shot through the air, and the ground opened. Dust exploded upward in a choking cloud as Chad disappeared into the earth, vanishing from view in less than a second. Panic gripped the team. The camera crew rushed forward. Dwayne dropped to his knees, calling down into the darkness, while Jamie scrambled for a harness. For a moment, no sound came from below. Then a faint shuffle, and the thud of shifting debris. Chad was alive, stunned, but conscious, trapped inside a sinkhole nearly 15 feet deep. Charlie peered into the pit. The collapse had exposed a narrow shaft leading deeper underground. Cool air wafted up, damp and metallic, a stark contrast to the dry heat above. Rescue efforts began immediately. A rope was lowered, and within 20 minutes, Chad was pulled free, scraped, shaken, but otherwise unharmed. He was covered in fine black silt and carried with him a small object he had grabbed from the chamber, another bead, but unlike the others. This one was obsidian, faceted, with gold flecks suspended within like stars. Back at camp, as the team debriefed and medical checked Chad's injuries, Charlie reviewed core samples taken from the collapse site. His analysis confirmed a cavern system beneath the bead site, one not visible on previous scans due to an iron-rich mineral deposit that had masked the void from radar. The box remained wedged in the collapsed rock, unreachable for now, but the discovery of a possible entrance to a new underground chamber reignited speculation. Had the Aztec treasure theories been too narrow? Could Blind Frog Ranch be sitting atop a network of ancient trade tunnels, burial vaults, or something stranger? Jamie pieced together the recovered artifacts, laying them side by side under the fluorescent light of the main tent. The carved bone, the turquoise beads, the obsidian bead, all bore similar markings. Geometric, repetitive, deliberately spaced. A pattern, perhaps, or a language. Later that night, motion sensor cameras set up near the site captured movement. A shadow, large, bipedal, indistinct, moved past the excavation area around 2:47 a.m. No team members were awake, and no wildlife matched the profile. The footage was grainy, distorted by dust on the lens and the infrared glare. But something had been there. Watching, Dwayne, reviewing the footage with narrowed eyes, said nothing. But the look exchanged between him and Charlie spoke volumes. This wasn't the first time unexplainable figures had appeared on the ranch. As the episode drew to a close, the team prepared for another expedition, this time into the cavern. But before that could happen, the weather turned. A sudden hailstorm, unseasonal and violent, swept through the canyon, pelting the camp with ice and tearing tops from their moorings. The bead site flooded. The collapse deepened. Access was lost. The episode ended on a cliffhanger. A drone shot pulled back slowly from the drowned dig, revealing the outline of the collapsed ground, now shaped like an eye, circular, dark, and foreboding. The Utah desert stood beneath a pale winter sun. Wind moved like a breath across the red rock ridges, whispering between dry cottonwoods and skeletal sagebrush. The air was brittle, full of dust and tension, as if the ground itself anticipated something. At the far edge of the property, past the ravine where anomalies had plagued instruments for weeks, the crew returned to a small overhang they dubbed the Bead site. A shallow pit along a sandstone bluff that had, just days before, yielded one of the most baffling finds of the season. A cache of turquoise and shell beads embedded in layers of unnatural sediment. The formation didn't fit. Not geologically, not archaeologically. There were no clear signs of human habitation nearby, no artifacts leading up to the discovery, just a sudden pocket of delicate, inlaid objects resting in a matrix of dark clay and powdered quartz, as if they had been dropped there by an invisible hand. The morning began with anticipation. Instruments were calibrated. Drones launched for topography mapping. Charlie, the team's geologist, reviewed subsurface scans showing void signatures below the pit, narrow, irregular gaps between the layers, one of which formed a near-perfect arc beneath the site. To him, it read as a potential collapsed cavern or man-made shaft, long sealed under the weight of time and silence.